What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Stand Your Ground. I'm your host, as always, Alex Bennison, and I am joined this week by one half of the Mighty Whites podcast, Casey.
You're stuck with me this week with no Jack.
Yeah, unfortunately, Jack's not available. I mean, I wouldn't be available either if I had to start work at 4:30.
No, well, not ideal. But my first episode in, I think, about a month now.
Yeah, you talked all the big one about, replacing Bakley, and then you fucked off for a few weeks.
Yeah, I did have work, to be fair. I couldn't just skip out on work. I mean, I've quit that job now.
These sound like shite excuses to me, if I'm honest.
Well, I'm here now, and that's all that matters.
Well, yeah. We're doing a bit of a...
It probably doesn't matter that much, to be fair.
We're doing a bit of a different episode this week. There's been few Premier League games due to some FA Cup fixtures that have taken place. The less said about them, the better for me. But we'll go through a few games, and then we're going to be picking our best 11 to be relegated from the Premier League. Now, when I posed this to you, you instantly came back with West Ham 02-03, done.
That is a great squad, to be fair. Like, I've never believed in the thought that no team is too good to go down, but I think that team might have been too good to go down, but they did anyway.
Yeah, to be fair, when you look back at the players that they had, you do realise, how did that squad go down? And you realise then Di Canio didn't play for half of that season.
Yeah.
But we'll get onto the game roundup so that we can discuss more in depth about our favourite teams, players to be relegated. We'll start off with the Monday game that obviously we missed. Liverpool 1, Wolves 0. Big win for Liverpool. I mean, they've been in a horrible run of form in the league. They seem to be able to do it in Europe, but in the league, not so much. But kind of shocked me, this. I expected Wolves to come away with a win.
Yeah, it's all kind of come off the rails since that Burnley defeat, really. What was it, 63 unbeaten at home or something like that, and then Burnley turn up, and then I think they've lost about 4 straight home games from that, and 5 in total or something daft. So yeah, big win for Liverpool to kind of get them back, and for them, I think the crucial thing is just trying to get into the Champions League places, but that's going to be a battle. Obviously, you got City, who I think have all but won it at this point. Man United and Leicester competing for second place, and then West Ham and Chelsea are kind of your favourites at the moment for fourth.
Yeah, something you didn't think you'd say at the start of the season, West Ham challenging for fourth.
No, as I think we've mentioned before on the Mighty Whites podcast, me and Jack both tipped West Ham to get relegated this year.
Yeah, so did I.
Well, at least they've gone far enough to not only just... Like, it'd be one thing if they finished 15th and just didn't get dragged into a relegation battle. At least being wrong, it's West Ham challenging for the Champions League, which is kind of funny.
It'll be funnier to see them be managed in the Champions League by David Moyes.
Not just for Barcelona versus West Ham.
Jesse Lingard showing Messi up all over the pitch.
Superstar Jesse Lingard at the moment.
He's making a claim to be in that Euro squad in the summer.
He was making a claim to be a Man United squad today.
Yeah, we could have used him, to be honest. There's not a lot to say from this match other than one player that ended up signing for Liverpool, and I don't think anyone expected him to be as big of an impact as what he has been, even though he's been injured. They seem to miss him a lot, was Jota, going to Wolves and scoring against his former team. He seems to be outshining the front three that Liverpool have, even whilst being injured.
Yeah, obviously it's been difficult for Liverpool. Just the sheer lack of central defenders, and then kind of, I did find it surprising that that they didn't just throw money at trying to get a big name in January. But I dare say that'll be sort of what they have to pursue this summer is getting someone of some caliber in. I feel like Ben Davies is probably a tad underwhelming as a signing for to kind of plug the gap of Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez. But yeah, Hortons look good. I think for them, it's just been trying to find a steady rhythm. Obviously, they've kind of shifted around with sort of Wijnaldum and Henderson playing centre back at various points, and sort of weakening your midfield to try and plug the defence. And obviously, you can't replace sort of Gomez and Van Dijk, but I feel like they would have been better just still playing with their best front six and just hoping that's enough to kind of keep players, keep the opposition away from a weakened backline.
Yeah, the centre backs that they did bring in were maybe a little bit underwhelming. I think that Kabak will end up coming good. I know he came from a Schalke side that were already doing poor in the league in Bundesliga, but for how young he is, and he was starting in the Bundesliga last season, I think he'll end up becoming a decent player for them. They've obviously been riddled with injuries, but I think they've also been so inconsistent. They'll struggle to replace Wijnaldum in the summer when he goes to Inter. So maybe they'll be shopping around in the summer. I expect Liverpool to make some big signings.
Yeah, definitely. They need that depth in defence, and possibly a bit of cover for, I think, players like Trent Alexander-Arnold as well. Just decent backup there.
Al said, need to take a Leeds approach, prioritise attack as the best form of defence to protect a weak back line. It doesn't help, when you don't have someone like Patrick Bamford scoring the goals.
I mean, it's the funny thing for Liverpool this season in all this, and this has been. I know you can't say it's a poor title defence in as much as they bottled it or anything this year. A lot of it's down to those injuries, but Mo Salah's still the top scorer in the division. Like, he's not been short of goals this season. So they have, obviously, they kind of went off the boil a bit the last few weeks, but they haven't been short on goals. But I agree with that if you don't have your defence there, why? It's like how sort of Leeds tried to play against Arsenal the other week when we were missing. I'm trying to remember who it was now, but we ended up moving 3 players and playing. We had like Jamie Shackleton at right back. We had Pascal Struijk going to central defence, CDM, and I think Luke Ayling going in at centre back. And I'm like, well, why are we moving 3 players? Because we're missing 1. Like, just put Jamie, just plug the gap as best you can with whatever's left, but don't do it to the detriment of the rest of your team. Like, I've never quite understood that.
Yeah, I've got the top 20 Premier League goal scorers this season up, and Salah is the only Liverpool player inside that top 20, although he sits on 17. The name, obviously, that sticks out for me is Ilkay Gundogan being Man City's top scorer with 12 goals.
Patrick Bamford.
Patrick Bamford is 4th, joint with Calvert-Lewin on 14. I say 4th. He's 3rd. He's joint 3rd, realistically, because Kane and Fernandes are joint 2nd.
He's I did feel really sorry for. I know probably I'm sort of steering towards Leeds anyway at this point, but I did feel really sorry for Pat not getting the England call up, and to be honest, I found it a little bit strange that Ollie Watkins got the nod ahead of him. I think even before the Fulham game on Friday night, the only English player that had more combined goals and assists than Patrick Bamford was Harry Kane. So I found it very strange that he didn't get the nod there.
Yeah, I'm looking for Watkins in this goal scoring table, and whether I've just missed.
I think he's got 10.
He's joint 10th with Callum Wilson, who've both got 10 goals. But let's be honest, age-wise, Watkins is probably going to be in and around the England side more often than what Patrick Bamford is. But it would, like I've said this a few times this week, it'd be nice to see Patrick Bamford get a call-up just due to his age, and it'll probably be one of the only England call-ups that he gets. But the knock that he took against Chelsea might have played into the fact that he didn't get picked, and possibly just the age and maybe looking forward for who's going to be in and around Southgate's England side for the next few years.
No, I mean, I've always said this about England strikers, because we've done it at loads of tournaments, and I think a couple of times, like Darren Bent never really seemed to get picked for tournaments, despite the fact he'd always be the second or third highest goal scoring striker. I just always think for strikers, like, you know, goal scored is the main metric you need to look at. And yes, obviously you want to kind of figure players who fit into your tactical plan. But like I said, when you know, I think Bamford's got, I think it was a combination. I think now it's like 18 goals and assists this season. You know, so it's a good record. Obviously, it's nowhere near Harry Kane's, which is just an unreal number for this point. But yeah, I felt sorry because I think there was him, and there was a little bit of talk of Luke Ayling making the squad, which I would have been surprised about, just because England seems to have about 15 right backs, and Gareth Southgate seems to play 3 of them in his back line somehow. Yeah, I'm going to feel sorry for Luke Shaw when he doesn't get to play left back because Kieran Trippier is still playing there.
I mean, before we go on to Lee's game, I do have the England squad up. So we'll go through and we'll say whether we think they should have been named. The 3 goalkeepers that he's taking: Dean Henderson, Sam Johnston, and Nick Pope. No Jordan Pickford this time. Do you think it's justified that Johnson gets the call over Pickford?
I actually think he's one of those, and it's kind of something I think we'll speak about later with our relegation 11s. But there are always 1 or 2 goalkeepers every few years who are at the bottom end of the table, but you can tell that they are very good players, and they just happen to be playing behind a terrible backline. And I think he's one of those goalkeepers that's unfortunate to not have a stronger defence in front of him. Yeah, I think he's a very good keeper.
Yeah, I do agree. I think he's got the record at the moment. He's made the most saves in the Premier League this season, but that doesn't surprise you playing for West Brom. And, you know, the rate that Sheffield United just concede, probably Ramsdale's nowhere near that.
Yeah.
Right backs, you've got Reece James, Kieran Trippier, Kyle Walker.
The surprising one was Trent Alexander-Arnold not being picked, because as poor as Liverpool have been recently, I don't think that's a reflection on him. But if you'd listen to Southgate's sort of interview after naming the squad, a lot of it was based on players he trusts and players who've got that international experience at the moment. Trippier has played as that inverted left back for probably a year at least now. Kyle Walker's been a mainstay for him as kind of that right-sided centre back. And Reece James, I think, has had a very good season. He's a player that I really like. So, you know, it's hard to say that. Do I think Reece James should be in there ahead of Alexander-Arnold? Probably not, but he is playing very well, and you know, I do think there's certainly an argument for him being in the England squad.
See, I agree with everyone saying that it should be picked on form, and I think on form, because I'd not kept up with La Liga, I didn't realise how well Atletico Madrid were doing and how well Kieran Trippier is playing for him, even after his 10-game ban this season. But I would have said Wan-Bissaka should probably have been in with a shout, but that's probably my Man United tinted glasses on for that one. I
think outside those players, you know, those 3 and Alexander-Arnold, you do look And Aaron Wan-Bissaka is he's the next one on that list. I think you've got Matty Cash is probably in with a shout at some stage as well. And again, it's just something I would love to see. I'd love to see Luke Ayling get a call up, but it's very tough to imagine a player who's 28, 29, has no record of sort of playing youth level for England at any stage. So I can't see it happening, but I'd love to see it happen.
Yeah, you know what? It'd be a massive shock now if he ends up in the Euro squad in summer.
Well, if Leeds go on a mission these next, we play a couple of decent teams the next few weeks. If we just go on a mission of just killing all the right backs as we go along, we've still got to play you at Ellen Road. We've got to play Liverpool at Ellen Road. So that's Wan-Bissaka and Alexander Arnold dealt with. We've got Man City to play again. We can get rid of Kyle Walker in that one. We've missed the chance on Reece James now, so he can probably be first choice, and Luke Ayling can be backup. And then I suppose we'll have to pay a hitman to have a go at Kieran Trippier in Spain, I suppose.
I was going to say, Trippier, maybe, I don't know if Saiz is still playing in Spain. You could give him a ring, ask him to do it for you.
Yeah, he's got his own legal issues to be dealing with. I don't think he needs to be caught up in anything else.
Left backs, obviously, the two, Ben Chilwell and Luke Shaw. I think they are the two best English left backs at the moment. So it's not surprised that both of them have been called up.
Yeah, I think Luke Shaw's sort of revival this season. He's got back to where he was, kind of peak Southampton and sort of the earlier days at Man United before Jose sort of verbally beat him down into, I don't know, just hating himself, I imagine.
Yeah, so it's only, he's like, what? So we've got 9 games left of the Prem, 8 games left of the Prem. It wouldn't surprise me, two games away from the Euros and he rolls his ankle and he ends up being out for the Euros, because that's just Luke Shaw's luck.
Obviously, it'd be devastating for him, but anyone else, it would be a little bit funny. I don't wish an injury on anyone, but the timing of it would be fantastic.
And then your centre-backs, you've got Conor Cody, Harry Maguire, Tyrone Mings, John Stones, and I don't want to class him as a centre-back, but I guess you have to, Eric Dyer.
Eric Dyer is an interesting conclusion. I'm assuming he's another one of those that Southgate trusts, because he's not been playing for Spurs that much in the league recently. And like you say, I just don't think he's a centre-back. It's not the most inspiring list of central defence. I think John Stones is having his best season for a while.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's if you're one of the sort of the big European countries, you're not looking at that back 3 or 4 thinking, oh no, not Tyrone Mings.
I really do. I rate Tyrone Mings, but not for England.
Exactly. I think he is a good Premier League player, and the one thing that you do get from having Tyrone Mings in there is he is a hell of an athlete. Like, just, yeah, he's tall, he's quick, he's strong. Like, Conor Cody, another one I like, but do I want him going up against the best that France has to offer? Not really.
Yeah, I think the one that people were kind of calling for to see, but I put him in the same bracket as Tyrone Mings, is Konza from Villa.
Yeah, the other one that was kind of thrown around was Michael Keane as well, but Konza I would like to see more of, and I think there's the potential there. Michael Keane is another one of those who I think is a very solid defender and gives you a lot, but is not in that upper echelon of central defenders.
Yeah. To be honest, I could see us playing I say back 3, but back 5, with like inverted wing backs, playing Chilwell and Reece James as the wing backs, but having Kyle Walker as one of the centre backs. like we did in the World Cup, where we had like Trippier and James.
Yeah, he does like having
Trippier
Kyle
and
Walker there. Yeah, to be honest, it'll be really funny when both Luke Shaw and Ben Chilwell are on the bench to Kieran Trippier.
Playing left back.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I've never like. Hey, he does a good job there, but you know when you kind of want to go say something like, Gareth, we've got some actual left backs though. Like, you don't need to do this.
I mean, we've got 2 left backs. If either both of them get injured, we're a step away from calling Kieran Gibbs back.
Hey, I was there at Wembley for Kieran Gibbs' England debut.
Yeah, and Bobby, you know why we don't want him back.
And Bobby Zamora, same game.
God, what's that? 2010?
2010. It was straight after the South Africa World Cup, so it was I think, and we didn't play well in that, but it was a fun trip to make. It's the only England game I've ever been to, because I think they were giving tickets away by this point after how awful we've been in Africa. So yeah, it was nice seeing Bobby Zamora get a go.
Midfielders, we've got Jude Bellingham, Phil Foden, Jesse Lingard, Mason Mount, Calvin Phillips, Declan Rice, and James Ward-Prowse.
To be honest, I just hear a load of lads, and then Calvin Phillips, who's the greatest midfielder of all time. It's basically him and Cruyff. And I know they're very different players, but those are the two. No, that's actually a very good list of midfielders. That I think, obviously, taking my Leeds cap off for a minute, I think I've come to see this season how good Declan Rice is at what he does. Jude Bellingham, I'd love to see. I can't sit here and pretend I watched a lot of Bundesliga, but he's by all accounts having a good season. Mason Mount's been fantastic for Chelsea. James Ward-Prowse has probably been the standout for Southampton in their push for what was originally a title push, has now turned into a fight to stay out of the relegation battle. But I think James Ward-Prowse has sort of been the best part of them.
Yeah, ever since I tipped them to win the league, they've gone right down.
Yeah, it's one of those where they were dreadful. They had a dreadful run. I still think Ralph Hasenhüttl is a very good manager. I just really rate him.
I do think he's a good manager, and I think he has been very unlucky, especially in the 2 9-0 games that he will go down on record of managing for. But at the same time, there's only so much you can do with that Southampton side before people start putting a bit of money in. And I think it shows with people, the players that they brought in, like bringing in Minamino. You can see how much he can get a player like Minamino to play. But onto the forwards, you've got Calvert-Lewin, Harry Kane, Marcus Rashford, Saka, Raheem Sterling, and Ollie Watkins.
Well, I've obviously already voiced my opinion on Ollie Watkins being in there. Who's had a good season. I think he's played every minute of league football for Villa this season. I don't think they've got anyone else. They seem to have got decent cover in midfield, but Ollie Watkins, I think, pretty much just plays all the time. Bukayo Saka is, if I was picking a PFA Player of the Year now, he would be up there on that list for me. I love Bukayo Saka. I think he's a fantastic footballer. And is this season anyway, especially during Arsenal's sort of terrible spell, was their main highlight. Him and I've forgotten his name now, who's their left back. I keep wanting to say Kieran Trippier, but I don't mean Kieran Trippier because obviously he's not a left back.
Kieran Tierney.
That's it. Thank you, Kieran Tierney. Those two have got a fantastic partnership on that left-hand side together. And then the rest of them, I think, are actually, there's some top quality players in there. Obviously, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's having his best season, and you don't really have to say a lot about Rashford and Kane.
To be honest, off the back of form, I don't think I would have taken Rashford. In all honesty, I don't think he's been that prolific in the Prem. He's done well in Europe, but I don't think he's been that prolific in the Prem to warrant a call up over certain other players. But then again, he offers you both the striking position and playing out on the left, which I think you need to take into consideration when you can only take a 23-man squad with the way that our strikers get injured. Like if Kane's ankle goes again.
It's Pat Bamford. It's Pat's time. It's like when Danny Mills came in for the 2002 World Cup out of nowhere. That's how it happens for Pat. Last minute injury to Harry Kane.
So we'll go back to the game roundups, but we'll fire through them because we've wasted a lot of time there and we haven't even got to the main point of this.
I see you've made a mistake here because we're about to talk about a Leeds game now as well, aren't we?
Yeah, we can fire through the rest. I know you want to talk about this. Leeds 2, Fulham 1. The London has fallen for Leeds finally. I felt so sorry for Luke Ayling. He was so happy to score that header and then have it ruled out.
He got his hair down and everything. Lovely flowing mane. Yeah, that's as some of the VAR decisions against us this season go. It's not the worst, but again, this logic of his head and his arm are ahead of the man, and you just want to say, yeah, but the ball was passed along the ground to his feet. Like, yeah, honestly, I'm sick of VAR at this point because I don't know who it benefits, but we've spoken enough about that. Yeah, honestly, I didn't think it was a particularly good game. I thought we were the better team. Fulham capitalised most on us being absolutely terrible defensively. I didn't think much of our sort of the back or two central defenders and left back. I thought Ayling was a bit better on the right, but we made an absolute pig's ear of trying to make clearances from set pieces. And shock horror, Fulham scored from a corner. Who would have guessed against Leeds? But yeah, the second half, I think we sort of controlled the game a bit more. It was still a very scrappy game and a bit bitty. But overall, I thought we deserved the win.
Yeah, I think you did control the game, and I think Fulham did have a few flurries where they looked like they could have caught you on either a counter attack or, like you said, the set pieces, which Leeds absolutely despise. I bet you can't wait for Robin Koch to be back because he at least adds a bit of height in the area for you.
Honestly, I think we need to go to the NBA and just set ourselves up in the next draft and just get a couple of lads in who are 6'7" and teach them how to head a ball. That's how we will get better at defending corners. Yeah, nice to see Robin Koch get back on, and hopefully he can get a bit of playing time under his belt before the end of the season. The only, and I felt a little bit sorry for Fulham. I've not thought a lot of Scott Parker, but these pretty much since the end of January, and I think he's finally got in his head what his best first 11 is and the best way to get them playing. They're actually playing some decent stuff, and that they're actually having a crack at trying to stay up, as opposed to Newcastle, who seems to be on holiday already, thinking, yeah, it's only 3-point gap, that will be fine.
Yeah, we'll talk about them in a minute. We've got a comment from Benny saying, you miss Cooper to give you stability at the back.
Yeah, to be honest, since probably again another one since about January, I think Liam Cooper had his best spell in the team, and had really settled in and actually started looking like a Premier League central defender. Still the best one for me that I've seen so far this season is Pascal Struijk. I think he's been absolutely fantastic. has really adapted to it quickly and has now played with each of the other central defenders and Luke Ayling as well, I think, at centre-back. Has been shifted to the holding midfield role, which he understands, but he just doesn't have the dynamism that Calvin Phillips does, and it's hard. It's a harsh comparison to make because I think Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice are two fantastic players in that role, and it's to hold him to that standard is unfair. But yeah, I think I'd love to see another year of Pascal Struijk playing in Premier League football because I think he can be a top quality defender.
Yeah, it won't be long until you see Pascal Struijk and Van Dijk at the back for Netherlands. Or maybe a back three and they could throw De Ligt in.
Yeah, he's biding his time on that one. He's turned down Belgium, but he's also, I think, Netherlands wanted to call him up for the under-21 squad, and he's turned them down as well. So I think he's biding his time on that one.
He's waiting for the right moment to strike. When Bielsa says that he's allowed to play more football.
Well, he's also eligible. I think I always want to say Singapore. He's eligible for it's either like Singapore or Taiwan, and I don't know if he's waiting for the call up from them to just be like, "Yeah, none of you saw this coming, did you?"
He'd take him to the World Cup. So on to the Saturday games. The one Premier League game that took place on Saturday, Brighton 3, Newcastle 0. We'll probably run through these as quick as possible because we've been half an hour before we've even got to the main point of this. But Trossard, Welbeck, and Mopé with the goals for for Brighton. Like you said, Newcastle just going to sleep, getting closer and closer to that championship opening day next season.
There is absolutely nothing about that Newcastle team that makes me think they're going to survive at this point.
It's me that's froze, or if it's KC that's froze. I'm reckoning it's KC that's frozen. Right then. Comment. Newcastle are awful, no desire or hunger. Well played, Brighton. Yeah, Brighton did deserve this. They did just outplay a very, very poor Newcastle side.
Yeah, there's nothing about that Newcastle team that shows any fight to stay up. But like you'd at least expect to see, a few hard tackles in there or something to try and unnerve them. There was none of that. Managed 3 shots all game, none on target. So that, and it's a Brighton team that's their second win at home this season. Like it was a place they could have gone and tried to get something, but there's just no plan. I don't understand what their game plan is.
Yeah, I really don't understand why Mike Ashley said that he's going to stay with Steve Bruce. He backs him.
I was speaking with Jack yesterday. My only thought was, who else could you get? Like, who else wants that job?
Neil Warnock.
Joe Kinnear. Again.
Chris Hughton.
No, I don't think Chris Hughton's going back. Unless you threw money at someone to do it till the end of the season, and I don't know if Chris Wilder would be the man for that or someone like that, but I don't see what you've got to gain by if you signed on to be Newcastle manager now.
Yeah, Benny's saying the subs were bizarre. Had Gale and Carroll on the bench. When you're chasing and you just chuck on a load of defenders and midfielders instead of your attackers.
I was going to say, they put on, was it Sean Longstaff that they put on? It was his first game in like 2 months.
Yeah, I think I said this to Brad last week. Your midfield's a bit shocking when you're relying on John Joe Shelby, Jeff Hendrick, and the 2 Longstaff brothers to get you out of a relegation dogfight.
Yeah, there's just nothing there. I don't wish this because I dislike Newcastle for any reason, but because I think Mike Ashley is an absolute grade A prick. I hope they go down.
And he can't sell them.
Yeah.
So the two FA Cup games, which we really won't talk much about, Bournemouth lost 3-0 to Southampton. No shock there. Bournemouth really need to focus on the league. It doesn't look like they're even going to get the playoffs this season. And Everton losing 2-0 to Man City right at the very end of it. And I think Guardiola came out and said that was the hardest game they've had all season, was playing Everton in the FA Cup.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, I haven't seen either of these games, to be honest. Southampton, it's a good win for them and kind of at least distracts from their form in the league. But yeah, for Bournemouth, you've got to hope now it kind of gives them that focus for their last 7-8 games that they've got to try and crack into the playoffs, because that squad they've got, that they should be in the playoffs.
Yeah, it shocked me when I was looking at that. I think it'll shock anyone when you realise that the playoffs for the Championship this season are made up by Swansea, Brentford, Barnsley, and Reading.
Yeah, the Barnsley really shocked me. I didn't see that until the other week. And the one thing was, last time we played them at Ellen Road, we won 1-0. Barnsley put up a hell of a fight in that one and turned it into a very difficult game. I didn't see this coming from that team. It's fair play to them. And kind of I suppose because they're Yorkshire, but we've very rarely been in the same division as them for any period of time. God bless them if they make it into the Premier League. They've only done it once and it didn't go well that time. Yeah,
and it probably won't go well this time if they do come back up.
No, as a club with very little money to spend, it's that would be an interesting one.
I mean, to be fair though, they have four former Leeds United players that are playing there. Is it Darabayo, the left back that you used to have?
No, it's Clarkador is the one that we used to have. Alex Moa, Arpo Halma, and then they did have Malik Wilkes, I think, but he moved to Hull this season.
Who are top of League One?
Yeah. He's having a good season as well as Malik Wilkes.
Yeah, by all accounts, but they are top of League One, but it doesn't mean anything because I think that all the teams below them have played less games. Yeah, Peterborough, Sunderland, both have played 35. Hull have played 37, and there's only 5 points between them and Sunderland.
Yeah.
So it's going to be quite an interesting league. Again, is League One to watch come the end of the season. The final Premier League games, though, West Ham threw away a 3-0 lead to draw 3-3. Jesse Lingard, Jared Bowen and Thomas Souček, and then an own goal by Souček, an own goal by Craig Dawson and Lacazette.
Yeah, it's very, very poor end for West Ham there. I mean, you'd expect going in 3-1 up at half-time. That's something you should be seeing out, really. There was also the slight hope that they were going to end up drawing with 3 own goals. That'd have been great.
Got a comment here from Matt. So, but Barnsley doing a Leicester in the next 2 years then? No.
Well, I tell you what, who would be the next? Who would be the slightly updated version of Esteban Cambiasso in all this? Like, if they
Jake Livermore.
I can't believe you put Esteban Cambiasso and Jake Livermore in the same category. One of the best holding midfielders of all time. And Jake Livermore. Christ. Let's just move on. Let's just move on. It's ruined.
Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 0. No surprises. I think everyone expected Sheffield United to go through. And then Leicester 3, Man United 1. Yeah, there's not much you can say about that. Iheanacho's on a absolute fire at the moment, especially seeing though Jamie Vardy can't seem to hit the back of the net, but we gifted them quite a few chances, and you can't gift a side like Leicester the chances that we did because they are going to take them.
Yeah, it's nice seeing Nacho kind of stepping up and taking up that mantle at the moment as being the goal scorer, because obviously everyone knows about Jamie Vardy. But Nacho's always, I've always quite liked him, but he's never had that really settled run in a team. And I suppose with injuries at the moment, he's getting that chance and kind of making that shirt his own at the moment.
I just thought, for some reason, my head was still going on the Esteban Casemiro thing. I was thinking, watch Barnsley sign Sergio Busquets. That's more reasonable.
Poor man, poor Busquets having to turn up in Barnsley. Imagine having been at the new camp and then you look around Oakwell like, what the hell is this shed?
So, on to the main topic of this. Only 42 minutes in, but on to the main topic of today's episode. The best 11 to be relegated from the Prem. Now, there's two ways that you could go about this. You could go about the form that they produced in that season, or you could go off the players that you like the most. I've done a bit of both. I've gone with players that I think are, as a kid, I thought were really good. And then I've gone with what they produced that season as well.
See, the players you really liked as a kid, I'm really hoping I get to tell you how shit they actually were.
Yeah, you probably will, to be honest. So, what formation are you playing?
I've gone 4-4-2 for this. I've kept it simple.
I have not. I've gone 4-3-3.
Okay, that's fine.
And to be honest, you could probably switch this into a 4-4-2 with the players that I've got in the side. So, do you want to start with your goalkeeper?
Yeah, I think for me, there's only one choice. As I mentioned earlier, every couple of years you have a Premier League team that basically in a relegation dogfight all year, and as a goalkeeper that's absolutely outstanding. And Ben Foster for Watford, the year they came up and he was on loan from Man United, he was absolutely fantastic.
I must admit, I did toy with putting Ben Foster in, one because I do think he's just a nice guy as well. Seeing his YouTube videos, he's the cycling goalkeeper at the moment on YouTube. But I've gone with a player who I thought had a really good season for a team who were absolutely shite. And I expected him to get another move to a different Premier League club, and it never happened. And I'm pretty sure he's still at the club in the Championship. I've gone with Neil Etheridge.
Ooh, interesting choice.
I thought the season that Cardiff went down, he was Cardiff's best player, and if they hadn't have had him, they would have been relegated by December.
Yeah, he's a decent player. I can't say I ever watched a lot of that Cardiff team. They were never the most inspiring Premier League team to watch. Who was manager of that Cardiff team?
It was oh god, we've mentioned his name already, and I forgot again.
Was it not
Neil Warnock?
I was going to say, was it not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at this point? Oh, was that the other stint they had?
That was the other stint. No, it was Neil Warnock. That side.
It's either way an uninspiring manager.
I've got a few honourable mentions for goalkeepers as well, which will Benny coming in with Warnock.
Cheers, Benny. I've done a subs bench of 7 as well, so I do have a keeper on there. So when you do your honourable mentions, I'll do my subs bench.
Right. Okay. So I'll mention my first. I'll mention the right back then that I've got. I've gone with Max Aarons from Norwich. I really think that someone should have taken a chance on him when Norwich got relegated, because I think he's a decent right back.
Well, I think Barcelona tried to get him on loan. That was still one of my favourite. I don't know if it was how true it was. I'll call it my favourite rumour of the summer that Barcelona went after Max Aarons. But yeah, I've got Max Aarons as my right back as well.
From Carrow Row to the burner to the new camp. I almost called it the Bernabeu then. I'd have been strung up.
Yeah, he's top quality. I'm guessing that the deal probably would have been, one, I don't think Norwich particularly needed the money, but two, I think it's very much a case of give us a year. If we don't go back up, we'll sort. We'll have to sell you because I think there'll be a lot of money going for him.
Yeah, I think it was also a case of they were going for that Ajax right back. They did get that Dest, the USA international, because it was between them and Bayern Munich as to who got him. And if they hadn't have got Dest, I reckon they would have taken the punt of taking Aarons.
Yeah, fantastic player, and who will be back in the Premier League in a matter of months at this point.
Yeah, give it 3-4 games and Norwich are probably promoted.
Yeah.
So do you want to do both your centre-backs?
Yeah. So I tried not to pick a team that was made up of obviously the West Ham 02-03 squad and the Leeds 03-04 squad. But a Leeds player, a couple of Leeds players are in there. I've got a partnership of Fabrizio Colaccini from Newcastle from the 08-09 season and Dominic Matteo from Leeds 03-04. Dominic Matteo at that point captain of the team pretty much with Lucas Radebe being injured, who at one point his partnership with Rio Ferdinand was fantastic, and I still maintain he was a lot better central defender than people give him credit for. And I always liked Colaccini at Newcastle as well, and there was quite a few in that Newcastle team who, again, hate Mike Ashley, don't mind Newcastle, and there's quite a few likable Newcastle players at that point.
I didn't even think about Colaccini, and I really, really rated him for a few seasons there. I thought he looks like a quality player, but I've gone with Rio Ferdinand for his relegation fight with QPR, and Johnny Evans.
Johnny Evans with Sunderland? No. Who was he with?
West Brom.
Ah, yeah, West Brom the other year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I couldn't bring myself to... my selection was kind of more towards who I thought did well that season. And to be fair, picking defenders is really hard in a relegated team because you don't typically get many defenders who've had a good season when a team's been relegated. But I couldn't bring myself to put anyone from that QPR team in.
Yeah, maybe it was just because of his name rather than, it being that QPR side, because that QPR side was dreadful. But, I mean, your centre-back partnership of Rio Ferdinand and Clint Hill wasn't ever going to keep you up, was it?
Neil Warnock, he's back again as Neil Warnock with a relegation team. But yeah, Clint Hill was probably the answer.
So my left back, and I think we'll probably have the same left back because for me it was only between two players. I've gone with Ian Hart.
Oh no! See, this is where my experience comes into play. Much as I love Ian Hart, my God, he did not have a good final season at Leeds. His confidence was gone. He was left massively exposed, and he just looked to shell of the player that had been thumping in free kicks in the Champions League a couple of years before. So yeah, I have the good memories of Ian Hart, and I try and block out the relegation season as much as possible. For me, I've gone with from Fulham in the 13-14 season, John Arnorisa.
Ooh, 13-14? What are you still playing then?
Yeah. He's made, I think it was like 25 appearances, so he's there for most of the season. Obviously, sort of on his last legs at this point, Risa, but yeah, one of those players I absolutely loved, and I thought, again, in that Fulham team, as a defender, wasn't bad.
God, Fulham had a left back of John Arnorisa and then a right back of was he called Michael Rieser, the German international.
Yeah, they had the other one as well, and then in there they had, I think Johnny Heitinger was in there, and Stecklenberg. Oh. They had a half decent team still that went down.
Fucking love Johnny Heitinger. How are we going to do this? Do you want to do your 2 centre mids and I'll do my 3 centre mids?
All right. So this is where we're going to start mentioning a few of these West Ham players. And the first one, the really obvious choice from the 02-03 season is Michael Carrick. Just absolutely, even as a child, just quality central midfielder. And the other one alongside him, and I've kind of, if I'd have gone with the 4-2-3-1, he probably would have fit in a bit better. But currently at Liverpool, Xherdan Shaqiri from his season at Stoke. So you kind of in the classic 4-4-2 mold, you've got your centre mid who does the defensive work and your attacking midfielder. It's nice.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to have Shaqiri winging the headers either.
No, not with his legs.
But he might outmuscle someone.
Well, he is. I don't know whether to call him stocky or be generous and call him thick.
Built like a Swiss brick shithouse. Yeah, I've gone with 3 midfielders that. Yeah, I think most people would probably pick these. Gone with Roy Keane when he got relegated with Nottingham Forest.
Oh God, yeah. That's a great shout. Is that one?
Juninho for his relegation with Middlesbrough. And,
he is in my team. I've had to.
Is he on the right?
He's on the wing, yeah. He's kind of having to make do on the wing, but I love Juninho. He was a great player. So, if nothing else, the two, sadly, as good a footballer as he was, the 2 memories I'll always have of Juninho is, one, him telling Philippe Albert off, who appears to be 4 feet taller than him. And the other, when Middlesbrough got relegated at Ellen Road on the last day of the season, Juninho sat in the centre circle crying. Like, I remember those 2 things. Like, those are memories that live with me for a long time.
And the final one, mainly because he scored 5 goals in one game. Was it 5 or 4 goals in one game for him? And they still got relegated. Gini Wijnaldum getting relegated with Newcastle. Yeah.
There's a few from the last few Newcastle relegations that were not sorry if you're a Newcastle fan, but yeah, there was so again, a few decent teams there that got themselves in bad positions, but yeah, didn't think we'd be looking at a Premier League winner in there.
Yeah, I've got 2 Premier League winners in my midfield of players that got relegated.
Trying to think. Well, yeah, I've got Shaqiri in there, so he is the Premier League winner. I guess Ben Foster would have a Premier League winners medal as well.
When did he leave us? 2011? Yeah, so he probably will. He will have one.
Oh, there you go.
So I mentioned Juninho, but you said was he playing your left or right mid?
So he's my right midfielder, and the other winger to go back to that glorious West Ham team is on the left, because that's where England always seem to play him, is Joe Cole, who he was captain of that team, and I think he was only about 19. So I'm not entirely sure why, but incredibly talented player who, God, if he was coming in now, like, he'd be a great number 10. It's the only problem that English football hadn't discovered what an attacking midfielder was at this point. It's like, oh, you've got some creativity, and you can't cross. Get on the left anyway.
Yeah, we had a left mid battle between Joe Cole and Paul Scholes. Benny's just put, sorry, but just heard that Dean Smith has been quoted. Has been christened the Ginger Mourinho. Is Dean Smith ginger?
I'd have to have a look. I'm guessing so.
He might be just grey now. Benny saying Martin Gam's Pedersen in the midfield. Was he there when?
Yeah, because he stuck around he was playing for them in the Championship when his legs had gone. He was at Blackburn forever. He was a good player when he was in his prime, was Martin Gam's Pedersen.
You've said your left mid, so I'm going to say my left wing. And someone from the Newcastle side that got relegated. I've gone with Damien Duff.
Oh, yes. Damien Duff, very, very good player.
Not the same player when he got relegated.
No, not quite. But yeah, very good player. Had a very good career. I can't remember how many Island caps he got at this point, but I think he might have a Premier League winners medal with Chelsea.
Yeah, because I think he was there for that final season. I think that was his final season under Ranieri, under Mourinho when they won the league.
Yeah.
So we both. I could have played this as a 4-4-2 and stuck Juninho out on the right and put Damien Duff on the left. So we'll basically go with our two strikers now. If you want to pick, tell us your two that you've got up top.
I assume we've both got one of the same strikers, so I'll go with my other one first. And I couldn't pick a team without Mark Viduka in as the front man. Again, actually gave us a decent return the season we got relegated. It's obviously a shame kind of how things ended for him, getting a red card at Bolton the day we went down. But honestly, still, I think the best big man striker I've seen. Like bloody hell. Yeah, his first touch was fantastic. His ability to take on a defender was great. He was strong. He was agile. Absolutely love Mark Viduka.
Well, that went well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I must admit I did toy with putting Mark Viduka in my side as well. I don't really remember the Leeds days as much, but his time up at Newcastle, he was still a good striker at that point. Although an aging strike partnership of him and Michael Owen was a bit of a question.
I think who was the Danish striker that was there as well? I think they had like a really old front three. I'd have to get back to you on that one. Let's have a look. Newcastle 0809.
I'll name the striker then that I don't think you'll have, and I've purely named this because I claim him as a boy. If we can have a football stable of boys, he would be in my boy team. It's Obafemi Martins.
Oh, I'm just looking at that Newcastle team now as well. Yeah, he's a great story. Is Obafemi Martins, an absolute electric pace.
I think there's a possibility that he might still be playing.
I'm guessing he's not as quick anymore. He can't still be playing, surely. Let's have a look. I'm loading his Wikipedia as we speak. No, he's still playing in Wuhan, of all places.
20 years on from making his first senior debut, he's still going at the ripe age of 30. He's only 36.
God, he was also really good for Seattle Sounders, 40 goals in 72 games. Yeah, he was a great player. The Danish striker I was thinking of, by the way, was Peter Lovenkrantz, who was also in that Newcastle team. But but I'm going to give you a striker now with 2 relegations under his belt, and I still maintain he's one of the best English strikers I've seen play. And I assume this is the one we've both got, is Jermaine Defoe.
Lovely, lovely Jermaine Defoe.
Yeah, relegated with West Ham and with Sunderland. Yeah, the Sunderland one especially, because I think he got 15 Premier League goals that season, which is always a decent return for a team in that position.
Yeah, he was challenging for top scorer that season.
Yeah, I think that's one of those where probably around the same time. What season was that? It was 16, 17, so it wasn't on the back of a... I thought we might have been going into an international tournament on that one for a second, but yeah, he was probably still one of the top English goal scorers in the division.
Well, the season before that, he was still bagging goals in for Sunderland, and they were saying, will he be taken to Euro 2016? And we all know how that ended. We could have probably done with him, up top against Iceland.
Yeah, he's someone who I always think should have, if not more caps, should definitely have started more games for England than he did.
Yeah. I know we'll be going on to your bench, but Benny's just put Peter Crouch just for the goal against City.
Yeah, Pete, he's another one, been in a couple of relegations, got relegated with Southampton under Harry Redknapp, and then would have gone down with Stoke as well.
Yeah, and he would have gone down again if he hadn't have transferred. Who did he transfer from? He was in the Championship with Stoke, and he ended up going to Burnley. They swapped him for Sam Vokes.
Yeah. I'll go through my subs bench quickly, and there's one player I want to talk about who is a bit of an outsider on this. So from my team, Damien Duff for his relegation with Blackburn in 98-99, so another one with 2 relegations. Danny Mills from Charlton, 98-99. Neil Sullivan and John Hartson, part of the Wimbledon team in 99-2000. Craig Bellamy at Coventry, 2000-2001. And Jonas Gutierrez in the Newcastle 08-09 team. But the one I want to talk about is Matt Jansen. And I don't know if you know much about Matt Jansen.
No.
Yeah, Matt Jansen is one of my childhood favourite players. He sort of burst into this Blackburn team as they were struggling, and he looked like a world beater. He was 18, 19, English player, coming in, scored, I think, 3 goals in 11 games at the back end of the season. Looked great. Got an England call-up. Had to miss the game because of food poisoning, and then shortly after that was involved in a motorbike accident that left him in a coma for, I think it was about 6 days. And his whole career then was just trying to recover from that, both physically and mentally. But he's one of those where I think if you ever saw him play, you knew he was a bit good. Whether he'd have ever made it to sort of around that time, whether he'd have made it to the Gerrard Lampard levels as a midfielder, I don't know. But I think if you saw him in that time, you saw there was so much potential in him as a young player. He was an absolute world beater.
Yeah, it's always a shame when you hear stories like that, especially. I know the motorbike accident one is like it's a sad story because it does change your career. But to hear something like you get called up for an England squad and you end up with food poisoning right before you're meant to make your debut.
Yeah, and that's it as well. That's the only squad he was ever in. After that, he spent his career just kind of bouncing around. I think he went away for a while. Blackburn re-signed him, but he kind of never got back there and kind of bounced around a little bit and dropped down the leagues. But he could have been a great player.
It's kind of, I know that you'll probably not agree with this, but it's kind of like when Alan Smith broke and dislocated his foot. He just was never the same player.
You see, for me, Alan Smith is always one of my heroes. I've still got one of his shirts signed from when I was a kid. He's one of those I never really turned on. So I was always really upset when he broke his leg in that game. Bloody John Arnorisa with that bloody free kick.
Broke his leg with a ball.
Bloody hell. Yeah, that was. I mean, that. Yeah, it was always a shame. Now, like you said, Alan Smith was never the same after that.
So we'll go through some of these honourable mentions that I've got down. We'll start with the goalkeepers. Jack Butland for the Stoke team that he was relegated with.
Not
Still
now.
an England international at this point, though.
I could say not now.
David James being relegated with Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Julio Cesar being relegated with QPR.
He was one of the few imports that they had that season that was actually quite good.
I mean, he fucking should have been. He won a Champions League like 3 seasons before that.
Like that QPR team, the amount of he used to play for someone good. Sign him. Like that was like you say, you had like 52-year-old Rio Ferdinand, 38-year-old Park Ji-sung's in there. And in there's like Brazil's goalkeeper who is playing in an awful QPR team and he's just like, no, I'm going to actually try here.
Charlie Austin, when he used to want to bang goals in the Prem. One goalkeeper that I kind of put in more for the stat that came with his name. A man who has more Premier League titles than David De Gea, David Seaman, Jens Lehmann, Thibaut Courtois, Ederson, and Alisson is Thomas Kuszczak.
I'd forgotten about him.
Relegated with West Brom. His first team that he went to after leaving Man United, and he got relegated. Premier League winner to relegation.
Yeah. You always see that, though, with the goalkeepers that have kind of been second choice elsewhere, and then they're like, no, I'm a Premier League goalkeeper. I can go play for a Premier League team. And then him and I think Fabianski was relegated with Swansea and that. They all have one.
I've got right back Glenn Johnson.
No,
got relegated with Portsmouth.
He's just shit.
Player that I really liked, which was Sebastian Larsson.
Oh, Seb Larsson had an absolute rifle on him when he wanted to thunder one in from 30 yards.
Left back, the other left back who I was toying with putting in Andy Robertson for being relegated with Hull.
Yeah.
Muzzy Is It from Leicester.
Cult footballer right there, Muzzy Is It.
After that season, though.
Well, yeah. But at that point, that Leicester team, sort of 2 years before that, kind of, when you got Muzzy Is It, Robbie Savage, Emil Heskey in there, it's a bit of a cult football team, is that one. Neil Lennon.
Someone we mentioned earlier, Michael Owen.
Yeah. Funny.
I think he got relegated twice, because I think he might have been in the Stoke side that got relegated as well.
No, he can't have been there that late. Surely. He cannot have been there that late.
While you look that up, but you're not looking that up.
No, I'm not going to look that up.
Another Stoke player, Ryan Shawcross. I always thought, the early days of Stoke being in the Prem, I always thought he looked like a decent centre-back. Not when he was breaking Aaron Ramsey's leg, though.
No, well, he's not that sort of player, is he? That's what Tony Pulis kept saying.
Mark Noble.
Well, I wasn't on that episode, but I believe the streets will always remember Mark Noble.
I mean, they fucking will. England international that retired before he even got a call up. My favourite strike partnership as a kid, Charlton's Darren Bent and Marcus Bent.
Darren Bent was very close to being in my team. I couldn't bring myself to put Marcus Bent on the bench, but Darren Bent, obviously, outside of him being a bit of a knob and every two years going, I don't like it, I want to move. And then Harry Redknapp going, no, you're not going anywhere. Don't want to play it. You're going to play for Sunderland? Yeah, fine. Just piss off, you mopey bastard.
Then he got a bit fat, played for Derby in the Championship, Burton Albion as well, I think. One that I'm surprised you didn't put in, for your love of West Ham, Paolo Di Canio.
Yeah, again, I don't know if I could disgrace his name with relegation. I couldn't look past. I don't know what it is. One, John Hartson was a great sort of big man in the Premier League, and I completely forgotten that Craig Bellamy had sort of broken through at Coventry just before, just as they were getting relegated as well. So those two kind of made my bench ahead of him.
Was he there? Was he at Cardiff when they got relegated the first time as well?
Oh, he must have been. That I will look up. I'll look that one up.
Because he went back after City, didn't he? And I think it was the first time Cardiff went up into Prem. Yeah,
he played for them on loan for a year because they couldn't afford the wages, obviously, as a Championship club. His middle name is also Douglas, so the more you know. On loan at Cardiff, so he went to Cardiff on loan for the season. That's when Liverpool signed him again, and then he went to Cardiff
when they were in the Championship.
Yeah, very, very odd.
And the final one that I've got for honourable mentions, and another one that I thought you might have had, Lee Bowyer.
I've got a love-hate with Lee Bowyer. That I've got a love-hate relationship with him as a footballer because of the way he sort of treated Leeds as he left. I thought he was just detestable. But Lee Bowyer, the coach, the man who seemed to go fishing for 2 years in France and has come back as the most chilled-out, well-spoken manager, absolutely love him. I love him as a coach. I think he's absolutely brilliant. Obviously, what he did at Leeds was on the pitch anyway was fantastic. But he just threw a massive strop, and someone who should have cost millions ended up going to West Ham for about 300 grand.
Yeah, he might end up getting relegated again this season with Birmingham.
Yeah, interesting choice him taking that job. I know he kind of needs to take the step away from Charlton at this point. Outside of, I don't know what else there is for him to do there. But I think it's something like, I think Birmingham have had something like 9 permanent managers in the last 10 years. So it's a very high turnover there.
Yeah. In fact, actually, I was going to say that's my final honourable mention, but 2 that have just sprung into my mind. One that's also a Premier League winner, Nathan Dyer and Wayne Routledge for that Swansea side.
Which one of them won the Premier League? Oh, Nathan Dyer was at Leicester, wasn't he? God. Yeah. Wow, yeah. I loved Wayne Routledge. He was a good player when he was at Crystal Palace. He might have got relegated with them as well.
Probably.
Yeah, in the Andy Johnson team.
Andy Johnson, another one. But yeah, before we do end this episode, I'm going to play a quick promo video showing you all the live videos that go up on the Buzz, whether you're on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Make sure that you check out all these live shows, and it'll show you the times and dates of when they roll out.
War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them I'm ready, any opponent. The crown heavy and every minute it's chosen. A path only fit for kings, and you don't know what this court means. What did you enlist for? If it isn't getting more rings, then you gon' have to switch your team. Trust me, it gets more mean. I'm a nightmare going up against your dreams. First step is explosive like a bomb hit. Bet if I let it fly, I cannot miss. And you ain't got a chance at the top 10 when you getting clamped all night by your locksmith. On the block throwing lobs to my top bigs. I'm a chef, no look, what's the top dish? Tie game, feel the pressure as the clock ticks. Crossover, step back, hit a shot, swish.
Yeah, there are all the live shows on the Buzz, so make sure that you go and check them out on the days that they are live. Also, make sure you go check out any past episodes on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Keep up to date with our Instagram at WTBdotcom. Also, make sure that you check out more of Casey and, well, would have been Jack if he was here, at Mighty Whites Pod. You can follow them on Twitter at Mighty Whites Pod and you can listen to their episodes on Spotify, basically anywhere that you get your podcasts on.
But not Acast. Fuck Acast.
But that'll do us for this edition of Stand Your Ground. Next week is the international break. So we might have a lot of fun talking about England. We also might not.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to it, if I'm being honest.
What, the international break or Stand Your Ground?
Oh no, obviously I'm always pumped for Stand Your Ground. Come on, let's not be silly here. Given how our last few international breaks have gone, England's football has not been the best.
No, I know we're playing San Marino in one of them, so it's kind of like just throw everybody you wouldn't normally play on I don't know and see how it goes.
I don't know if on here Jack has mentioned his idea, but his idea is that if you are a man between the age of 18 and 35, you can buy a ticket for £20, and one person is drawn and is chosen to play in the England team against San Marino, just with the rest of the England team. So just 10 internationals and you. And you get to play at least 20 minutes up front. And the idea that they can probably do it against San Marino, my thinking would be if San Marino got wind of this, that they might put in some bone-crunching tackles on that person. But it would also be a good way to put some money into the NHS, so not all bad.
Yeah, I mean, you pay for his hospital bills afterwards. I agree with that. I think it'd be a good idea. And, you probably end up with more international goals than some other England strikers.
Your aim essentially would be, can you do better than Dave Nugent? Can you get more than one?
That or DJ Campbell.
Oh, God.
And on that note, I've been joined by KC from the Mighty Whites Pod.
Cheers for having me.
Make sure that you tune in next week on same time on Sunday. We'll be talking mainly international football, seeing as I think there might be a few Premier League games before then. I'm not sure. We'll see. If not, we'll be talking mainly all international football. So make sure you tune in next Sunday, same time, and we'll see you next week.